Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm actually kind of having issues with my sound, so I hope you guys out there can hear me. This is our first week back. I've been on break for about 5 weeks now. Not sure if Jenny's going to be able to join me. Her power went out about a half hour ago, half of her street, and she screechingly came into my text messages, I lost power. So I'm not sure if Jenny's going to be able to make it. And again, I'm hoping y'all can hear me because I'm not hearing anything come through mine. I did not hear my music just now for the intro. So I really hope that this isn't like a whole botched deal. Um, Again, I have been out for surgery, gosh, I think 5.5 weeks now. My recovery time is really 60 to 90 days. And so I pushed to come back for the lives because I wanted to really, in Lyrical, we celebrated Juneteenth on Friday. And then I wanted to be able to return for Pride Month here. It was really important for me to be able to come back for Pride Month to celebrate trans rights, to be able to celebrate LGBTQ community. That is why what Jenny and I are about. Like that's the reason why we started this show was to kind of make people or let people know that they were supported. Um, because Jenny and I both, as parents of trans children, understand that like that is something that we really should be doing. Um, and so we kind of keep calling that out. So while we're getting started, and I'm waiting to see if Jenny comes, I want to kind of cover some of the stuff that we've actually covered before in this room. We have in the last year we started this room, I think, or this live event series, I believe in November of last year. And because we knew the political season, the voting season, that we had a year to the next election, and we really wanted to unpack misinformation and disinformation and give you our insights as moms. My insight as a health advocate into how we can support our LGBTQ community, how we can be really, we can push for better access for them. We can push for more support. We can push for more tolerance, actually. And we've said, Jenny and I, we've talked about this. We don't like the word tolerate. Um, but we want the, the trans community to be embraced. Um, we want that for our children. We want our sons to be able to go, whether it be to a bathroom, to go get a job, to apply for housing, to apply for credit, for a loan, whatever it is that they're allowed the same access. So in this room, we have covered before the icons, the phenomenal icons of Marsha P. Johnson. We have celebrated Polly Murray. And so I wanted to kind of start off with them because that was some information we covered earlier this year. Um, as we close another vibrant Pride Month, let's carry the spirit of pride every single day. Every single day, sorry. Tonight we honor the legacies of trailblazers Polly Murray, whose brilliant legal mind and advocacy for gender and racial equality laid the groundwork for future civil rights victories, and Marsha P. Johnson, whose unwavering courage at Stonewall ignited a global movement. Their lives remind us that the fight for justice is perennial, and their contributions to history are not just chapters of the past, but blueprints for our future. And speaking of Stonewall, in case you missed it, um, there was an article. I posted a link to it, and there are little links to information for all of them in the comment section tonight. But Stonewall Memorial this past weekend, I believe it was this past weekend, President Biden and Elton John both celebrated the 55th anniversary of Stonewall, and I celebrated it because it's a beacon of hope, right? A testament to the courage of the LGBT community to stand up for themselves. The bigger problem is the rest of us around them. We have to be able to raise their voices, to help protect them, to support them. President Biden honored the community, recognizing Stonewall Inn as the birthplace of a cry for freedom, dignity, equality, and respect. He celebrated the indomitable spirit that ignited a global movement for equality, stating that the soul of the nation was tested and the heart of the LGBTQ movement was sparked, forever altering the course of history. Sir Elton John, a staunch advocate for LGBTQ rights, stood alongside President Biden, echoing a sentiment of ongoing vigilance against misinformation and scapegoating. He passionately declared, "Do we stand up for our vision and our values, or let misinformation and senseless scapegoating turn back the clock? No way." His words, a clear call to action, remind us the fight for freedom and equality is never truly over. I also want to highlight someone that we brought on several times before. I've been highlighted on her podcast. Jenny will be on her podcast. I think that her episode airs in mid-August, and when it does, we will put more information out there on that for you guys to be able to access it, hearing more of her personal journey as a mom. Mine was actually put out on June 3rd. And again, I've attached Dr. Diana's information in the comments, but again, she's someone else we wanted to highlight. Tonight, as we reflect on the strides made in the journey toward equality, we also shine a spotlight on Dr. Diana Sorrentino, a beacon of hope and progress. With her dual doctoral degrees in sociology and psychology, Dr. Sorrentino has dedicated her life to counseling, mentorship, and support for gender diverse and trans individuals and their families. Her commitment extends beyond individual care as she empowers medical and behavioral health care professionals with the knowledge and tools to deliver gender affirming care. For over 3 decades, Dr. Sorrentino has been a vanguard in education, designing and delivering professional development programs that foster understanding and inclusivity. Her voice resonates through the podcast, reaching listeners in 27 countries, and her keynote addresses, lectures, and seminars have inspired countless institutions. As we celebrate Pride and the collective journey of the LGBTQ plus community, let's also celebrate Dr. Sorrentino's unwavering dedication to creating a world where every individual is seen, heard, and valued. Thank you, Dr. Sorrentino, for your tireless advocacy and transformative work, for having me and Jenny both on, for working with us, for being spotlighted on our show and talking about gender affirming care. And we will be having Dr. Diana again on in the future. But we wanted to again kind of highlight some of these individuals who have really done so much work in this community that has brought us forward, but we still have quite a ways to go. Check my phone just to make sure. Oh, Jenny, someone hit a poll. We're gathering the dogs and going to my parents. So maybe Jenny will join us by the end of the show, hopefully. Um, so yeah, we'll see. But and with that, so that she and I can celebrate, we can talk about our experiences. If I, you know what, and I don't think I did. So, TransParents, first week back, after like 5.5 weeks, and I can tell you, I still kind of have a bit of anesthesia brain going on. I had some complications that really kind of slowed down and robbed me of energy. I would say my energy is at about 50%. Um, uh, so I had to slow way, way, way down. So I brought back the lives. Hopefully, the audio rooms, Mama Bear and Supporting Your Trans Child will return in, I think, 2 weeks. Hopefully, I will have information out there when I do return. I will send out invite messages so that everybody knows. But typically, what happens is on Tuesday nights, that is an audio room that you can follow up on. So if you come to the live show here and you have questions or more information that you want, you can always show up to that event on Tuesday nights and have the chance to come on stage and talk with me one-on-one about any questions or any more information or any experiences that you may have or something you might be struggling with. That's kind of what this room is about. Annie, Amber is back. You look and sound more lively today. That's surprising. I'm actually feeling a bit greenish at the moment. So it was taking a lot of water to kind of get past that little nausea break that I had here about an hour ago. And it's just it kind of comes and goes. That is, I pretty much had my whole pelvic floor redone, if you will, reconstructed, and so organs have been removed. A lot of organs have been moved around. There's over 180 stitches within my abdomen. Not including the incisions and so forth that I had on the exterior. So just it's a lot. It's a lot to recover from. So with that, I think what we'll do is while we're hoping that Jenny can get to a location and get on camera, because it is blazing hot. Because she was talking about sitting in her car, and I was like, it's like there's a heat dome over Oklahoma too. Like I've been in it in North Carolina. Like we had our first rain today, I think for the first time in maybe 3 weeks. Like seriously. And I think we might have gotten half an inch, maybe. We're doing drought here in North Carolina. So, and with it being as hot here as it's been, I just told her, I was like, please don't hurt yourself in the car. Like, if you can't make it, you can't make it. So while we're waiting on Jenny, I'm going to follow up with this piece. Also, I will say that the link to the article with no more gory stuff, Amber. Yeah, no, any, I'm not. Nope. Mm. Amber is hoping that the gory stuff is finished. Um, so with that being said, I do have information for Biden and Elton John, the link to that article there so that you can see more information there. Again, Dr. Diana's information is there. There is a link where you can go get more information about Polly Murray and about Marsha P. Johnson if you don't know or want to research more. The last link is a link to the people that we know we lost in 2023 from GLAAD's website. And that is what I'm going to do next. Um, these are the victims, uh, unfortunately, of lives that have been taken, transgender that have been taken in the last year. And I will also say that these often go unreported or underreported. So I can't say that this is the full list. But I would like to at least acknowledge those people that we do know. London Price of Miami, Florida. Lisa Love of Chicago, Illinois. Annie Johnson, Washington, D.C. Dominic Dupree, also known as Dominic Palace of Chicago, Illinois. Yoko from New Orleans, Louisiana. Sherry Lynn Marjorie from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Callie Manali from Marietta, California. Luis Angel Diaz Castro from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Thomas Tom Tom Robertson from Calumet City, Illinois. Devani J. Ray Johnson from Los Angeles, California. Jacob Williamson from Monroe, North Carolina. Chanel Perez Ortiz from Carolina, Puerto Rico. Asia Davis from Detroit, Michigan. Banco Brown, also known as Banco Paso, from San Francisco, California. Rashida Coco De Dahl Williams from Atlanta, Georgia. Tasia Sia Woodland from St. Mary's County, Maryland. Ashley Burton from Atlanta, Georgia. Tortuguita from Atlanta, Georgia. Cache B. Henderson from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And Manit Witaho Zachi from Louisville, Kentucky. Maria Furr from Houston, Texas. Jasmine Starr Mack from Washington, D.C. Unique Banks from Chicago, Illinois. And from Jenny's home state of 2024, we know Next Benedict of Owasso, Oklahoma. We shouldn't have to go through a list of names to point out how wrong this is. Unfortunately, when we celebrate Pride, it's often not only are we talking about those that we want to honor, we're talking about those that we've lost, whether it be at the hands of violence, whether it be at the hands of their own mental health. And that's the reason why I speak out about these issues. That's why Jenny and I both speak out about these issues. We don't want our children and we don't want our friends in the LGBTQ plus community to feel like they're alone. And never so alone that they don't have support systems. And currently, in our cultural environment, that's really hard. There's a lot of pushback. There's a lot of misinformation. And honestly, there's a lot of hate being spread. I came into this platform on LinkedIn really as a health advocate. And the more I spoke out about trans rights, the more I had people within the trans community come to me for advice and for support. And the more that happened, the more the gaps I saw in what they actually had. Having gone through two different BSM programs in my state, one private, one public, seeing the gaps on the healthcare floor, hearing from those in my community who had such a spectrum of experiences if they went in for inpatient care or whether it was outpatient. They were just going to their random doctor's office, going for a mammogram, going for a physical. We are educating our healthcare professionals on how to support the trans community as much as we should. We're not educating the public. And part of that is because of the misinformation campaign that's going around. And that's not just here in the US, that's global. And what Jenny and I really try and push on the show is that we're all human beings who deserve happiness, who deserve the right to live, the right to be ourselves, to show up as exactly who we want to be and who we are. Am I the same person that I was at 30? No. Am I the same person that I was at 20? No. But you know who gets to make that choice? I do, because that's what's best for me. And we have a very small part of our populace that are politicians that want to make those choices for everyone. And they're doing an abysmal job because they don't represent everyone. The amount of anti trans legislation that's been pushed across this country this year and last year, the number of bills targeted to less than 2% of our population in this country. If that many bills are being written about less than 2% of our population, what are your politicians doing for you? What are your legislatures doing for you? If you agree and you allow them to discriminate against one, that continues to spread. It never stops once it gets going. And there is a campaign to gaslight people that this is grooming, that this is a trend, that this is made up, that this is mental health problem, that this is woke ideology. Here's the simple answer. It's people showing up authentically as who they are. None of us like to be second guessed by other people at who we are. I don't want someone giving me my definition of who I am. And I think we owe that to everyone else to be the same. We all get to show up the way we want to show up. And we should be supported as such. Whether you're non binary, whether you're straight, whether you're trans, doesn't matter. We are all human beings. We all walk the planet. We all breathe oxygen. We all have the same blood running through our veins. And when we start to divide one another, a lot of issues come forward. A lot of problems occur. Now, do I think that everyone is going to be receptive to the trans community tomorrow? No. But with time, we can learn. We can grow. That was part of Lyrical Lights on Friday night, was talking about the growth that Juneteenth should represent. Tonight, we're going to talk about the growth that really Pride Month should represent. It, this month of June should not cause school boards and town councils to have fits over who can have a parade. What books can be read? Whether someone can go by their preferred pronouns. Have we lost total respect for one another? Because at times, that's what it feels like. At times, it feels like we have a very unsupportive community for everyone to have a seat at the table. My son is an adult. He came out as an adult. There was no grooming. I let him grow. I let him figure out who he was. As parents, that's our job. Is to support and guide our children, not tell them who they are or what they are, but to guide and support them, love them. Can it be hard? Yes. Can it lead to a lot of complications within the family, within the job place, within, look at the world, guys. It certainly, it certainly can be daunting. But don't we deserve to try for one another on this grand experiment we call the spinning globe of Earth? That's how our population got to where it is now, somewhat. We'd be a lot further if we were more supportive of one another, if we were more accepting of one another. I'm grateful that my son got his name change officially before the end of the year last year. I'm grateful he has that ability to still in my state because some states aren't allowing that anymore. Some states are rolling that back or reversing it, taking it away. And when you take that away, you're actually taking away people's humanity. And it's not okay. We all deserve a seat at the table. You may not look like me, you may not act like me, but that does not mean that you don't deserve a seat at the table with me. Aw, thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you. Um, I try to be. Don't necessarily always feel quite so oh amazing. Last month has been quite a bit. Um, okay, check and make sure that Jenny hadn't sent me something else. I know her parents live close by, but they're not super close. So I'm just not sure that she's gonna make it here before the end, but we will see. We will see. And if not, we will be back next week. I had planned several episodes to try and pre-record before I went out, and we just trying to align our schedules. And honestly, I was kind of just tanking as far as my energies before surgery because I'd been dealing with some issues for quite some time, and they were just kind of slowly getting steadily worse. So by the time I went out for surgery, I was ridiculously tired. So we just didn't get pre-recorded, same as with Lyrical Lights. I did put out some pre-recorded. It may have seemed kind of chopped. I'm only allowed to put like right at 1 hour on LinkedIn, and Jenny and I tend to go over a little bit. Sometimes by a few minutes, sometimes by 15 minutes. And so like trying to like squish that down so I could get the main key points to share with y'all again and just to have something going there is important. I didn't want to lose any ground this year. It's too important to our trans community. It's too important to the LGBTQ community. Because again, once they go after one group, they're going to continue to try and go as far as they can. We've seen it. If you're not registered to vote, please go out and register to vote today or tomorrow, this week. November is important. I don't want my son to become a refugee of my state. And I know Jenny feels the same way about Oklahoma for her son. We're making it very difficult for this part of our population to thrive. Heck, we're making it hard for them to even survive. Let's be honest. If you're new to my page, I'll just tell you, I am not for politicians making choices for people and their health care. I am a healthcare advocate, mental health advocate that super duper believes in the fact that everyone should get equitable health care. Everyone. Everyone should have access to what they need. And I don't believe that a politician without the expertise should be able to make that determination for parents of their kids or for members of the LGBT community. And right now, specifically the trans community, because that's who they're after right now is the trans community. But when they're done with the trans community, they're not stopping there. We've heard our Supreme Court. They've talked about reversing interracial marriage, same-sex marriage. It's not just about trans rights. This is honestly about human rights and the belief that everybody should, again, have the opportunity to be able to live and thrive. Thrive. And these bills are the opposite, is to push them back into the closet because of fear. So Jenny and I had decided last year that we were going to, I'd already started my Mama Bear room, but we had decided that we wanted to do a live and that we wanted to kind of start putting our message out there that there there is no difference between my trans son and my son. They're both my children. I love them and support them both differently, but I still love and support them both. My daughter as well. She doesn't live here now. She lives with her father. But all of my children, I feel that way. But not just my children, the larger community. I have met so many wonderful human beings in the last year and a half that identify as trans. That if, and I don't even like the identify as, they are. Um, it's not snapping. I'm sorry. If you're watching, it's not snapping who made the post this past week. But one of my connections made a post this week that was talking about the difference between do you use the terms I identify as or I am. And they talked about how that I identify as takes some of that humanity away from them. And I wrote back in there, I was like, I always put in there that this is always my son's fact. It's never an opinion. And no one else's opinion removes his fact. We all deserve, we all deserve to love and live the way we choose, authentically. We talk about that all the time on LinkedIn. Be authentic, show up as yourself. And yet, nearly 600 bills have been written this year to tell less than 2% of our population in the US, you can't do that. Your teachers can't support you. Your healthcare professionals can't support you. Your school systems can't support you. Your libraries can't support you. You don't deserve support. That's the message that's sent. We all deserve support. We all have the right to support and access. And we've got to do better. We shouldn't have a list of names that we can read off. None of them been targeted. Something I read up here. The bravery it takes our children to come out in our current world is huge. Some say it would be easier to hide who they are, but that's asking our community, our friends, and our children to be less than their authentic selves. And do we want to be less than? No. So why would we think it's okay to treat our friends, our community, our children as less than? What is the mental health impact of that? Specifically, what is the mental health of that on our children? Because it's huge. The stats are there. We know that the trans population is the highest in homelessness, youth. We know they're the highest with suicidal ideation. We know they're the highest with mental health disorders. We know they're the highest with substance abuse disorders. And all of that goes down when the child is supported. It's that easy. And I know it's not easy in the South from a conservative, super Christian family. We don't have contact with most of them because of how they believe and the non support they would give my son. And I'm not going to allow my family members to treat my son as an other. Family is not always blood. And within the trans community, we most certainly know that oftentimes it's not. But it doesn't have to be that way. I really want parents who are struggling to know it's okay to be scared. It's okay to worry, but don't second guess what your child is telling you. That's their true experience, and you're not living it. They are. And as difficult as it is to hear, often with parents that I work with, it's not to rebel against a parent's beliefs. It's not to push back on how they were raised. Again, it's not a trend. It's our children trying to figure out how to navigate the world we're in. And you can be supportive and have a relationship with your child, or you can do a lot of damage that will take years for you and, more importantly, for your child to resolve. I don't want to lose more people. I certainly don't want to lose children to something that is not a trend, not new, didn't just pop up overnight. We have written records of trans people back to the Bronze Age, which was 3,000 years ago. We just celebrated the 55th anniversary of Stonewall. That's at least 55 years. So the few politicians that want to keep saying that this just popped up overnight in the last 10, it didn't. And I'm thankful that when my son came out to me, I had unpacked my bias because I was homophobic and I was transphobic up until probably my mid to late 20s, until I unpacked my learning. And that was a few years before my son. So luckily, when he came out, I was supportive. I worried for his safety, but I'm supportive. And I love him, regardless of who he is. That's his life to live, not mine. All I can do is love and support. For those of you who don't know, my son is 26 going on 27. So again, his life, not mine. His journey, not mine. So if you're not actually living it, your beliefs don't really apply because this isn't your lived experience. But it's also not on you to tell someone else that that's not their experience either. We only know our lives. We only know this one life that we live. That's it. And I think if we spread more love and support and showed more empathy toward one another, we could go a lot further. We got to have more conversations. We've got to talk about this. If you're uncomfortable, let's talk about why you're uncomfortable. Unpack it. Just like I finally unpacked my homophobia and my transphobia. And thank goodness I did. My son could easily be one of those stats. And I'm overjoyed that he's not. But I know many people who struggled to be where they are, to feel like they thrive within the trans community. And I know lots of them that are tired, really tired. Tired of the hate, tired of the misinformation, tired of the disinformation, tired of being a political talking point, tired of being scapegoated and gaslit. Let me see here. I started to say this before. Some say it would be easier to hide who they are to remain safe, but that's asking our community, our friends, and our children to be something other than their authentic selves. Everyone deserves agency in their lives, and that begins with embracing each other at our cores without apology. Be who you are and allow other people to be who they are. It's not going to take away from you. It's not going to affect you. It's not going to, if you're someone who's watching and this is something that scares you, not going to hurt you. It could hurt your child. It could hurt one of your friends. It could hurt a family member. We are human beings, all of us. There is room for all of us to coexist. We just need to be able to have some more common ground. We need more understanding in our community, less divisiveness, more support, less attacks. Let me go back up here and see. Yeah, pretty much I had said everything. So, yeah, it's not looking like Jenny's gonna make it. Um, 39 minutes ago. Maybe should duck in right at the very end. But yeah, we definitely want to come on here. We were both trying to celebrate our sons by the end of because I told her I was like, I want to get one episode in during Pride Month. Like I know we're squeaking it out here at the end, but and unfortunately, that was because of my surgery and just when it got scheduled, and then there wasn't a lot that I could do about that. But it was very important that I come back and let my community know that I'm still here and that I'm still supporting them, um, because there are so few places that they feel safe. We should be promoting more safety. We should be promoting more inclusion. We should be promoting more acceptance, more empathy for people who don't look, who don't act, who don't show up like us. You know how boring it would be if we all did? If we were all the exact same? I would be bored. Like really, really bored. So if the rest of us get to figure it out, the rest of us get to walk around like we want to live, we show up exactly as the quirky messes that we are, then why can't my son? Why can't my friends in the trans community show up as they are? Be accepted? Why do they have to worry? And what states they travel to, and what buildings they go in, where they can use the restroom? When did we go around openly attacking one another like this? It's not the world that I grew up in, which was very naive, granted, but there's a lot more visceral hate passed around than I remember as a child. And I don't think it's just because I have a trans son. So I see what's being poured out into the trans community. I think we moved into an individualistic society that I get my way and I do what I want and the hell with everybody else around us. That's not how this works. Society is a collective. We are a community. The United States is a bundle of states that we're all supposed to work together, not against one another. Not some states are safe and some states aren't. Not I need to pull up a map so I can see where I can flee to worry about my autonomy. If you missed my special in El Dorado, you should go back and watch it. We're repeating history. We've done this already. And we're repeating the same mistakes. Honestly, we're making new ones. worse ones. Our future is supposed to be about progress. Our future is supposed to be about growth. That includes all of us. So if you have a problem with trans people, if you have a problem with the LGBT community, if you have a problem with a certain race or a certain religion, it's something you need to unpack within you so that you're not going out and inflicting that pain on other people. Most importantly, not on your child. And I've worked with people who are trying to come out of the damage and the trauma that they experienced because someone else thought they knew better. Because somebody else tried to force their kid to be something they weren't, or their spouse, or their friend. We should love people and accept them where they're at. Period. And you said it, Annie. We all have to live in peace and happiness. And it's really hard to see peace right now. I know it is. As a mom, I am frightened. There are times where Jenny and I just compare notes for states, like who's trying to pass what now. And it can be devastating. It has been devastating. And we as people, as a society, are supposed to do better. Be there for your fellow man. Is any of this ringing a bell? There are times where I don't think it is. I'm not sure where we lost our way, but I'd like to go back to that collective where we all see each other, where we all understand there's room for all of us. There's enough for everyone. No one's grooming your kids. There's no trend that your teenager's trying to fit into. Things change. We grow. We learn. And if I can give you anything from this show tonight, that would be the big one. Learn. If there's something you don't know, go find research. Research. Not somebody's opinion. Go look for research. Like Dr. Diana is a fantastic research or resource. If you're within the trans community and you're struggling and you need support, DM me. However I can help, I will. We need to move back to a place where, as a society, as a collective, we realize that each piece needs to be supported for the whole ecosystem to work. It can't be some are supported and some aren't. The system collapses if that happens. Everyone has to be supported. Most importantly, our trans community. Reproductive rights is what used to get people really fired up in the US. And that's not really the issue anymore, or not really the issue, but it's not really possible. People don't get as upset. People, a lot more people support women reproductive rights than don't. Now, that may not look that way with what the legislatures are doing and what SCOTUS is doing. But when you look at the polls of what people actually want, they support the rights that everyone gets to make that choice for themselves. That applies to this too. This applies to the trans community, to the non-binary, to gay, to lesbian, to intersex, to two-spirited. We don't get to pick and choose. And right now there's a campaign that wants you to pick and choose. This isn't a choice. My son didn't choose to be trans. So it does look like Jenny's not going to make it this evening, unfortunately. Um, but I'm really glad that I was able to muster it to get back in the chair tonight, to come back. We will be back next week. And our topics are probably going to get a little more spicy because we're getting closer to the election. And I want you to know that the lies and misinformation that are out there, what the truth is. That's why Jenny and I started this. I know that voting is a small way that we can make changes. Rolling back legislation or creating new legislation are small ways that we can support our community. But really, what needs to happen right now are conversations. If you've followed me for a while, you know I've pretty much finished just about every post with tiny ripples turn to waves that turn to a tsunami of love and acceptance and inclusion. Those tiny ripples are these little conversations that we have. And when you get into a conversation with someone in your community, at your workplace, at your church, at community centers, wherever it may be, and they say something that's incorrect, you have information from this show that you can counter with and say, well, honestly, actually, can I share with you something? And you tell them what you've learned from here. And then ripples. Those ripples will build to waves. That wave will eventually get to where we are with women's reproductive rights. It's the same way how we legalize same-sex marriage. But it took us nearly 2 decades to get there, at minimum. I don't want my son to have to wait 20 years to be accepted. He'll be 47. We can do better as people. We must do better. Yes, yes. Annie, but unto you, my friend, your commitment is inspiring. Thank you, Annie. And this part, every little bit counts. And that's what I mean. Every tiny little bit, every little conversation, every time you can dismantle misinformation, disinformation, anytime you can counter that with something, anytime you can show support for someone in your community who is within the LGBT community, whether they need help looking for a job or finding a place to live or whatever it may be. This is how we make a change. Baby steps. Rome wasn't built in a day. Would I love for my son to be able to go out tomorrow and not have to worry about the world saying anything against him? Absolutely. But I know that's not reality. Reality takes longer. And it's very difficult for some people who don't know anyone within the LGBT community to be understanding if they have no experience, which at one point in time was me. And now I'm the proud mom of a trans kid, adult. I know you use the word kid. My kids will always be kids, sorry. And for anybody who grew up in a farm, because I did, I understand kids are goats, but my children, that's the reason why I use children so often is because no matter what the age, they're still my children. That doesn't change. Um, but my going on 27-year-old should be able to live his life and not have to worry. And I know right now that is not the case. He does have to worry when he goes outside. Jenny is in Oklahoma, my co-host. Her son is on I believe it's a public college campus in Oklahoma. He has had to deal with discrimination. He has had to deal with pushback. There's nothing scary about our kids. They just want to live their lives like everybody else. And all I'm really begging you to do is for 1 minute, try and imagine being in their shoes. Try and imagine being afraid to go to work, to leave the house, to go to a bathroom in public, to tell your teacher, to come out to your parents and your family members. We don't give the LGBT community the praise they deserve for the courage and the bravery it takes to fight sometimes up to 98% of the country. That's just our country. It's not even including the rest of the world. Why are we putting up so many obstacles for people to thrive? We shouldn't. Again, we all deserve our own agency and to be able to live authentically as we choose, to show up how we want to, and to be accepted. And I want it so that we save more kids, that we save more people, so we cut down all the things I ticked off earlier: homelessness, the substance abuse, the mental health disorders, suicidal ideation, the deaths, the crimes, the violence. I know it's hard to believe, but I do believe that we are all inherently good. Some of us just lose our way a little bit. And I'd like to think that those people that are out there who are hating on my child just haven't had the chance to meet someone who's trans, who just hasn't had the opportunity to have the education that they apparently need to be more accepting, to be more understanding, to be more empathetic. We won't move forward if we don't grow. And that growth happens together. together. And so we've hit 8 o'clock. That is the end of our hour. Jenny did not make it. I'm not going to go super over because I don't want to wear myself out. We will be back next week. But I want you to take one little piece with you today. Uh, again, happy Pride Month. But as we close out this month, remember that honestly, every day is Pride Day. Every day. We shouldn't have to have marches. We shouldn't have to have a month of recognition to say that our LGBT community can thrive, that they're allowed to live their lives the way they choose, just like all the rest of us. So, with that being said, from this Mama Bear, thank you so much for being here this evening, and we will see you, hopefully, both of us will see you next week when we return. So, with that, good night.